Spectrum237, back with another review of Hulu's of Into the Dark series. And now, again, I'm doing these out of order, but this is episode 8, which came out in May of 2019. So this is the a Mother's Day episode, and it is All That We Destroy. Now, this is one that, right as I was watching it, and as soon as it finished, I thought to myself, automatically, this is top tier Into the Dark film episode. This is one of the better ones I've seen so far. So much so, it could even rival my top favorite spot of Pure, which was the season 1 finale, which I have reviewed. And I watched this last night, and the more I thought about it today and as I'm making this video, I think this is my favorite. I think this is replacing Pure as my favorite episode of Into the Dark. It does present a lot of ideas, themes, thought-provoking questions that Pure did. Different ones, but kind of in the same way. Only this is more my kind of film and pulled off with a more original, different concept. Even though sci-fi is not really my biggest genre. Usually when I think of sci-fi, I think space, aliens, robots. This one deals more of a scientist, which I do like. And we haven't really seen these themes done with this kind of concept, whereas the themes in Pure we've seen before in like a cult type film. Pure is still very good, and I still very much enjoyed it, but this is definitely my new favorite episode thus far. I loved the story. I really liked the concept. Solidly performed by the entire cast, and really liked the ending. It definitely merited its 80-minute runtime, which is something I've been thinking about with each one of these episodes. Like, would this work better as a shorter anthology episode, or does it work as a full-length anthology piece? This one does work as a full story. And really like the ending, and I like the way it presented its themes, ideas, and thought-provoking questions without beating us over the head with them and giving us its opinion on these ideas, and really letting us come up with our own thoughts. Now, it was directed by Chelsea Stardust, who I know directed the film Satanic Panic, which I have not seen, but I've heard good things. Written by Sean Keller and Jim Agnew. Has a stellar and very recognizable cast of Israel Broussard plays Spencer, who was in April Fool's Day. Happy Death Day, excuse me. Aurora Perrineau, who was in Blumhouse's Truth or Dare, which was awful, but also the first episode of Into the Dark, The Body. She does well in this too. The Body was definitely her comedic chops. This is more her dramatic and horror chops. Both are better than Truth or Dare. Dora Madison plays Marissa Cornell, who was Vince Masuka's daughter in season 8 of Dexter. She's great in this. Samantha Mathis plays Spencer's mother, Dr. Victoria Harris. She was Lewis's fiance and Patrick's girlfriend in American Psycho. And Frank Whaley as Parker. And Frank Whaley, he's been in a ton of stuff. I always love seeing Frank Whaley. He played Robbie Krieger in the Doors movie. Ralph Mandy in Red Dragon. The lead killer in Vacancy. He was in an episode of Gotham. I always love seeing Frank Whaley. He's great in this as well. Excuse me. And so the plot of this is, and I can give a bit more of this one away because it is the main plot, but So Samantha Mathis as Dr. Victoria Harris is this a geneticist who's working on this project to create the perfect human clone for the purpose of furthering human transplant surgery. Uh, that's what it started out as. But her son Spencer, played by Broussard, he is a blooming psychopath. Uh, he's a teenager. He's already killed, and she now uses these clones to. And this is one of the questions that it proposes to cure him, get it out of his system, figure out what it is that he likes about killing. There's all kinds of different things. And kind of gets out of hand. Aurora Perrineau plays the clones, the Ashley clones, and Masuka's daughter plays Marissa, who is the neighbor girl, who is Spencer's human kind of love interest, and everyone that interacts has great chemistry. There is a twist with Frank Whaley, so I can't really give away who he is. It is kind of obvious. That's really the only obvious twist in it, because this does go in some directions that I think it's safe to say most people might not see coming, especially the ending, the very, very ending. But it does propose these questions of, you could almost look at these clones that are being modeled after someone. They're all modeled after his first victim, who was a runaway fugitive. Is a clone being brought to life that has, human organs, thoughts, feelings, can feel pain? Is it okay to bring them to life just to be killed? You can almost look at it as a metaphor for the pro-life, pro-choice argument. You find out more about Spencer as it goes on, but it never feels like an exposition dump. It feels very natural in conversation. Was he predisposed to this kind of behavior from the get-go? And no hope, no chance of being cured or saved? Or, is it nature versus nurture? Did his mother screw him up by doing what she did? By keeping him isolated since he was in 6th grade? Socially isolated and just from the world in general? Could he have had a chance if he was able to branch out and be social? And really, kind of, does mother really know best? Is a mother's love enough, or is a mother's love just? Especially in today's climate, especially on the internet, where it's not about being a good mother, it's about being the best mother and trying to raise everyone else's kid through social media. Is a mother's love really the answer, regardless of the situation? And I think this movie does an excellent job at giving these thought-provoking questions without giving us definite answers on what it thinks, or without telling us what the answer is. So on that, I will say spoilers, but I do highly recommend this. I recommend this the most out of any of Into the Dark episode. It is very sci-fi. It does have this very sterile look to it. It is very futuristic. iPhones are see-through. Everything's voice command. You can do these virtual reality phone calls where you're projected to a place. Whenever she calls Frank Whaley, they're on a sunny wooded path. So you have these virtual reality calls. And just the way the lab looks, it has this very pristine, sterile look to it that's very well done. All the performances are great. I love the strained relationship where you have the loving but domineering mother, the son that doesn't quite know any better, but longs to feel real and feel normal despite the feelings he can't help. I love that clashing chemistry, the chemistry of him and uh, Marissa. She's talkative, bubbly, excited, or excitable. He's very withdrawn, quiet. He, not a dick to her, but he does respond positively to her. But sh they balance each other out with being introverted, extroverted. They have great chemistry. I love the scenes of Samantha Mathis and Frank Whaley, especially when you find out the twist of Frank Whaley, which I can't say the final or one of the other thought-provoking things that this movie proposes, but it is very well shot. It's a good-looking movie. It's it's very stripped down. I mean, it looks good, has good camera movements, good camera angles. It doesn't get too stylish or showy, but yeah, highly recommend it at this point more so than any other one I've seen. And now I'm going to get into spoilers. So I think at first we're supposed to believe that Frank Whaley, Parker, is like a coworker or a colleague in the uh, genetics department that his mother works in. But the way they talk about Spencer, they have conflicting ideas of how to go about what he does. That after the first scene or so, I was like, that's got to be his dad. Turns out it is. It never says why he can't be around. I was expecting a twist like he's dead, but she's able to contact like an AI of him. But there is a scene where he just says, I can't be here. Like, I can't be there for my son. He doesn't come out and say it, which is another thing. This movie does not spoon feed anything. Any bit of backstory we get about Spencer or Ashley, it feels very natural in conversation, which I appreciate. But the chemistry between Mathis and Whaley as mother and father, this can happen with a broken home or a married couple. Just these conflicting ideas of how to raise a kid, and of course they both think they're right. And one might have ideas of what will really help, and one has ideas out of love, and it just clashes. I really like their scenes. We do see that Spencer's very quick to kill these girls. Turns out, I guess Ashley was this a fugitive on the run, wanted for robbery, saw her along the side of the road, picked her up and killed her, and now all these clones are made after her. Well, it says first victim, but he does talk about this girl that he killed or pushed down a hill. She died after the fact when he was in 6th grade, and that's when he was pulled out of school and kept away from the world. But and that is one thing I was kind of confused about. Like, was she an ex-girlfriend or was it the girl that he found by the road? Because that's the story they keep telling her. Is, oh, you had an accident. You were found by the road by Spencer. But whenever, and he always says like, play our song, but she never remembers it. There's always something that makes her seem not herself. And that's why she has to keep doing all these clones, is because he doesn't feel the rush. So it's, he says it doesn't feel real. Everything feels simulated or fake, and I can't stand it anymore. He starts to pull away from his mother and her studies. I guess you can look at it also as, how does a parent deal with a child of addiction? That's another way to look at it. And the more he sees Marissa, the more normal he feels. He doesn't feel violent towards her. He feels alive. He feels real around her. His mother can't stand that. thinks he's doomed to kill her and cause problems, and just wants to keep him around Ashley and just keep killing Ashley till we figure out what everything is. Of course, this all comes to a head when Ashley and Marissa find out about each other. Marissa finds out that Ashley's on the run. Doesn't know she's a clone, but knows she's on the run. And, Spencer has to kill Marissa. And even though Spencer is doing these questionably horrible things because they are clones, but are they human? Another argument this film proposes. You do kind of root for him because if you do believe in the aspect of nature versus nurture, you could almost say this isn't his fault. You do want him to shed all these feelings and feel like a complete human with Marissa. But of course that all goes to shit. He has to kill her. Problems get started with Ashley. And the way it ends, I was not expect. I was imagining Spencer getting killed or arrested or something. But no. Spencer does get killed, yes. But as she's killing Spencer trying to escape, the police show up. From when Marissa called her when Spencer was called in from when Spencer was attacking her. And Spencer does a great job at playing a textbook psychopath. I mean, just the blank stare, all the way down to one eye being normal and the other one kind of being, you're kind of having that two different sides of the face, a psychopath look. To be totally emotionally disengaged to how he looks when he's strangling all these different clones. But when the cops show up with this, as far as they know, this girl that's a fugitive killing a kid with another dead girl and an injured mother at this house, they arrest her. Which then opens up Samantha Mathis to create a clone of Spencer, which is where this film ends. And even though it shows a breakthrough of Ashley having all these memories of her past and being killed all these different times, sort of creating the perfect clone and having this breakthrough, you do have to wonder, well, is Spencer going to be normal now? Is he still going to be a killer? Is he going to retain everything he had? Is she going to go through the same struggle that Spencer did, where she has to keep making all these different clones to find the perfect one and get rid of all these other ones, start killing like he did till she finds the perfect one? Or is she going to do it, if he keeps coming out perfect and normal, is she going to try to get him back the way he was so he'll need her again? Because it does seem like that very codependent kind of Bates relationship, but done in a very nuanced, futuristic way. And I love the way it was executed. One thing that did make me laugh is whenever there's the virtual reality calls, and no matter how futuristic movies try to make technology look, whenever there's a phone call or like a VR call or something, there's always like these glitches in video and sound as if to tell us it's like a call. Which, if technology was that advanced, I doubt that would happen. I just noticed in movies that they always do that. But yeah, absolutely solid performances. I loved all the themes and questions and thoughts and ideas that it proposed. I love that it didn't really answer any of them. And just a very interesting original concept. Just this mother with an undying love, which even the tagline, "A mother's love never dies," technically she gets to recreate Spencer, presumably again and again. Her love will never die. And definitely one of the better sort of evil, I guess, mother stories I've seen in a while. But, I guess the biggest question is, you could look at the clones as the pro-life, pro-choice argument. Is it okay? Like, do they really have a life? Are they really living? Is it okay to dispose of them? And the whole nature versus nurture aspect. Would he have been fine? It does say that he went to a bunch of therapists and psychologists that told him he's predisposed, no hope, no cure. But it really seems to be his mother's belief that that's what it is. Could he have had a chance if he was, stayed social, stayed, out in the public, not isolated his whole life? It A lot of it does seem more so by his mother's design to have this codependent relationship. But yeah, this is definitely my favorite episode of Into the Dark. I thought it was fantastic, especially considered ones that came before it. Uh, Even as a movie outside of Into the Dark, I thought it was great. I loved everything about it. The pacing was also very good. The way it's shot, the performances, the writing, and all the themes and ideas. And just the overall concept. Mother creating clones for her serial killer son till she finds a cure. But yeah, definitely my favorite episode. I will be doing more of these, so stay tuned for those. And thank you for watching.